Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hey, everybody, this is Michael J. Maher. Welcome to another great episode of Referrals Podcast. I can't wait for you to get this information, this wisdom that is about to be dropped on you. I cannot wait. You are going to be blown away. We're going to share with you today the secret to becoming the most referred professional in your community. So hang tight. We're going to get to that. I have to tell you, I have to give a big shout out to La Rosa Realty and Joe La Rosa, based out of Orlando, Florida. He had me in to speak. There were 400 crazies in the room. And I will tell you, I'm giving high fives. There are tons of energy in the room. And we're talking about legacy, and we're talking about epic, and we're talking about this change that's going on in the sales world from the old always be closing, I'm number one world, to the always be connecting, I'm here to help world. And I will tell you, I just love how many of them were telling me that they love the podcast. They're addicted to the podcast. They listen to it on their morning walks. They listen to it at lunch. They listen to it on the weekends. So big shout out to Joe La Rosa and La Rosa Realty. Thanks for having me come speak and do the keynote. I love that. I love to speak. I love to do keynotes. And I love hearing the difference that Referrals Podcast is making. The podcast is called Referrals Podcast. Today, on our episode, we have a referral. Melissa Kadrmas is a referral from Tommy Sandvik out of Orlando, Florida. It's like, can Orlando, Florida get any more shout outs during this podcast? I don't know. But she is actually from La Crosse, Wisconsin. She is a financial planner extraordinaire, by the way. She's done many careers, done very well at several different careers. But today we're going to talk about how do you become the most referred professional in your community. She has a secret. We have the secret here today, and I bet you can't wait to hear it. But without further ado, let's bring on our very special guest, Melissa Kadrmas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited.
You know, for those that don't understand your excellence, unlike me, I understand your excellence. For those that aren't familiar with you, how did you get started into the business world in general? You know, why not be a 9-to-5er, you know? And how did you get kind of started in the business world, and what kind of careers have you had over the last few years to get you set up for financial planning and really to learn how to get referrals?
Sure. So my college degree absolutely has zero to do with what I'm doing now, right?
Like 99% of our guests right there.
Yep.
My degree is in mathematics with an MBA in marketing and communication, and here we are, we're talking about referrals. So
right.
What did you get your degree in?
Nuclear medicine, biology, and chemistry.
What? Anytime anybody starts with the word nuclear, you got to realize everybody's like, you're smarter than I am. Wow.
Yeah,
nuclear medicine?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a lot of science, and I learned analytics, right? So that helps with my financial career now. But back in 1999, I became an entrepreneur in the multi-level industry and got a lot of self-development, which is huge in becoming an entrepreneur, right? Because you're working for yourself. You need to know how to
growth, right? Grow your business by growing yourself. I love it.
And you learn how to do events, right? Yeah. Events are everything in multi-level marketing. So I learned how to do events there. Then I went into retail management. Wow. I actually ran a Toys R Us for 3 years. And then I worked for a family business for many, many years and grew that from about 1.5 million in revenue to 7 million in revenue. There's where I learned my strategy, my cash flow, all that kind of stuff. And I'm also a Coast Guard auxiliarist. So I do both.
Wait, you're a what? Say it again.
United States Coast Guard auxiliarist.
Oh, wow. Thank you for your service. I have to say, first of all, before you even get into the now, I truly believe that you have given yourself a liberal arts degree in career. And you know, I mean, you got the analytics, from the nuclear science. You got the events from the MLM, and also this whole thought of personal and self-growth,
Mm-hmm.
And then from the retail world, you learned how to work a lot of hours. Trust me, I know that. And, and then you got your strategic and planning from that career, which all has kind of led you to the financial management, financial associate, financial planning world. And so you are a financial planner who gets a ton of referrals.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, talk about that. Like, you got into financial planning. What did they teach you that maybe was not aligned with how you wanted to do business? And then how did you start to put together your Melissa strategy, right?
Right. So amazingly enough, my company did meet with all of my values and that's why I joined it. So integrity was huge with me. I wanted to make sure that the company I partnered with was able to offer all solutions. So I wasn't kind of pigeonholed into one certain product or one certain service. I wanted to be holistic in my planning. And so I found that with this company. And because our company is a not-for-profit, we actually, the money that's invested basically on behalf of our clients, we don't pay federal tax on, and that would be tax money, instead has to go to charity. And we love doing charity events. We love being part of our community. And so it was just win-win when my husband and I looked at, where's our next careers? And so we actually are able to use that charity money now to do stuff in the community and do the events, which we'll talk about.
So I think one of the big things that is so key here is, now you can name your company. Who are you with?
Thrivent Financial.
Right, Thrivent Financial. And it's a nonprofit.
Yep.
That's a very unusual in the financial planning world.
It's a 501c8. It's fraternal organization, so we serve Christians. We have to serve a certain segment of society, and that's who we serve. Okay,
very cool. And all right, so how have you applied that, right? So here's what you wanted. You wanted a company that was full of integrity. Mm-hmm. It allowed you to sell products from any different amount of companies. You're an independent.
Yep.
And you wanted to give a holistic approach to financial planning versus just stocks and bonds. And so now you've got this base, and now you're with this company that also has, in the old building world, it would almost be called co-op funds. They have co-op funds that are filtered back through you to your community, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. So how does that work? Tell us how that works. Like, that's very interesting. I love the thought of a company that invests in you to invest in the community.
Yep. So our clients are called members. It's a member-owned company, basically. And each of our members gets two $250 gift cards every year to go do something in the community with, to make it a better community.
All of your clients get $500 a year to do something for the community.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it can be educational. It can be to be seed money for a fundraiser kind of thing.
Okay.
Just all different, as long as you're doing something better and it's in alignment with our values, we pretty much approve it, and then we send you the card. And you've probably seen the Live Generously t-shirts.
Yeah.
Those are our members out there doing something with the money from Thrivent.
So Thrivent Financial is behind the Live Generously charity arm.
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yep.
I happen to love the name, as you probably could imagine.
So do I.
Yeah.
And when I read your book, I was like, this is total alignment. I love it.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Who recommended 7L to you, or how did you discover it?
Mm-hmm. Tommy. So when I started working for Thrivent, Tommy was like, tell me more. What do you do? And I told him about the action teams, and he's like, I want to get involved in my community. And he had read your book, and so we figured out how we could do a charity event in Orlando using an action team. And so I flew down there and helped him put that event on. And he got excited about it, and here we are. So.
Wow. And so you read the book, and then you attended one of his events, and you were like, there's something to these events.
Yes.
And so you decided with a little influence from him to do an event. Yes.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
From his event, I walked away with a stack of cards. Like everyone wanted to know more about Thrivent. And I'm like, well, this is easy.
Yeah. And it wasn't, you're in Wisconsin and this was in Florida.
Well,
so
and I'm licensed
you're
in
like,
Florida
if I can generate leads like this in Florida, imagine what I can do in Wisconsin. Though you are a national brand, you can work with anyone, anywhere.
Yep.
So what was the next step, right? So you read 7L. I have to ask you before that. First of all, what was your biggest aha from 7L?
Combining charity with an event. In Thrivent, we like to do that, but it's not, when we're talking about our business itself, rather than just doing a charity event, which we do a lot of those, but when we're talking about just educating the community, we're not, they're like, do a workshop, do a financial workshop. Well, and then nobody comes.
That's right.
But when you add a charity thing to it,
yeah,
you get people coming in droves. So
yeah, that's what I uniquely brought to real estate. I feel is that it used to, all the events in real estate used to be real estate investing or first time home buyer or whatever, and nobody'd come. And it was just like, I don't want an event that nobody will come to. I want to have an event that'll be a lot of fun and everybody will come to. Well, then we do a movie event, and then we did a Love You Latte, and then, and then it's like these people love coffee. They love to drink. They love movies. They love bowling. They love roller skating for the most part. They love these things. So let's just do the things they love and the things I love and have fun with it. And then let's see what happens. Well, house ring parties later, it's exploding business. There was one other aha, because when I first got started, I put an ad in a magazine for a year. And then I read the book and I went, no billboards, no magazines, what? So I pulled that ad, realizing that my money would be better spent doing charity events. That's right. So that's cool. And I was going to ask you, so that was kind of the alignment of using the charities in events and making sure that you do that purposefully instead of kind of haphazardly. It is an integral part of the 7L system and the generosity generation that with events, you have three elements: entertainment, education, and charity. And they're integral. You have to have all those three. So what was your favorite strategy from 7L before you ran with the events that you saw with Tommy?
Well, right away I started doing power notes, and that helped in my communication with clients and just staying on top of things. When I get a referral, I send out a power note. When I meet with someone, I send out a power note, and I've gotten really good response back from that. So that was just one of the things. And then Tommy, when I started to put an event together, Tommy really helped me with bringing the elements of 7 levels in the communication that has to happen to get people invited. And that was a huge win.
I love it. So the handwritten notes is a tool, the power notes. And I have to give out a shout out to Sharon Hires, which interestingly enough has businesses in Orlando and Jacksonville. It's like Orlando. I mean, it's just like everybody in Orlando, Florida needs to listen and share this podcast, because it's like a hotbed of great things happening. She wrote handwritten notes to her neighborhood that she lived in. And she just simply said, hey, listen, I'm not selling you anything or anything like that, but I wanted you to know that you do have a top agent who lives in your neighborhood. And if you have any questions about a remodel or a repair or something that you want to do around the home, whether it's going to add value or not, just let me know. Well, she just went with that approach, and she did get a couple of questions from people who were like, I want to remodel the kitchen. Can you give me some ideas, or can you say what to not do and do? And so Sharon did that. But she also got 3 new listings in her neighborhood simply by writing these, not asking for business handwritten notes. They were just letting them know that, hey, listen, I've lived here a year and I want you to know I live here as well. And if you have any questions, I can walk to your house to give you advice or whatever it may be. And she ended up getting business from those handwritten notes. If she had done a postcard, nobody would have responded. But because she did a handwritten note, they got opened. They looked authentic and real, and they were. and she got a response. Power notes are very, very powerful. And so you did an event. So tell us about your first event. What happened at your first event? What'd you call it? Go crazy, sister. What'd you do?
So we called it Networking for Charity.
Okay.
And so pretty basic, but it tells people what it is.
It
right?
sounds like a nuclear scientist named it. I'm just saying. Hey, what are you guys doing? Networking for charity. So what are you going to call it? Networking for charity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. What are we going to do when we get there? Network for charity. Okay. All right. I get it. Sometimes you just got to be really logical and straightforward. You get a lot less questions that way. You know, if you would have called it Thrivent Palooza, you would have had all kinds of, crazy questions. But
right.
All right. So you did networking for charity. I love it. All right. Yep. And I have to tell you, that's what's so funny. People so often are they're held up by the title or the name of their event. Just call it something. Just don't use the word client. Right. That's all I ask is don't use the word client. But networking for charity. So what did you do at it? What were we doing?
So I belong to a place called the Lacrosse Club that you can do events there. And so we booked the place for the night. I found some friends who are willing to sponsor and help pay for the venue and for the room. We used one of our Thrive in Action teams to help pay for the room. And so one of my action teams paid for the room and someone else's action team helped pay for the food.
Did you say action team?
Yep, that's what the $250 cards are called. And so
one of your clients actually sponsored it?
Mm-hmm, yep.
Okay, how many?
We had, I believe, 4 or 5 sponsors for that one. They either used their action team card or $150 plus $50 for a door prize. So we had all the sponsors at least do a $50 door prize or better.
Okay, so right off the bat, I have to tell you, this doesn't sound like a lot of people's first events. You're including a lot of the things that we include in event mastery. Did you take event mastery class before, or
I took Tommy's advice?
Okay, that's smart too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so good. So who did you invite?
I went to just my network. I went through my phone and said, who do I want there? Who might be a good client? Who likes networking? So small business owners, entrepreneurs. We really kind of focused on those solopreneurs and business owners and salespeople who like to network,
Yeah. The title of your event is Networking for Charity.
Right.
Here's the beauty of that is, who's going to be attracted to Networking for Charity? Those who like networking and those who like charity. So it's one of those where you're going to get exactly those people that you want. Yep. I think what's really nice is this is not networking for business. Sometimes when you do networking for business, you get takers in the room. You get people who are there to sell somebody an air filtration, water filtration, a roof, something. And, they're there to sell instead of there to really build What is networking? Networking is building relationships. That's all networking is. You're connecting with strangers and hoping to turn them into relationships. So networking for charity, in this case, is a great title. Because it says exactly, and it attracted exactly who you want. You want networkers. And here's the beautiful thing in life that everybody needs to know is that the best referral sources typically are small business owners and those who attend networking events. They are typically the best referral sources because they're moving and shaking and they understand the power of a referral. So how did you invite them? What modes did you use?
Yep. I just opened up a HubSpot account and created a website, generositygroup.gives, and put the event on there and sent out emails to that list of people. And then we used Slide Dial and we used, some of the tools that Tommy helped me kind of automate a few of the things.
So you had an invitation sequence that included, the first thing is parting the plan and prep and how to take RSVPs was your
generositygroup.gives.
Generositygroup.gives.
And we used Eventbrite to collect the RSVPs, which all HubSpot kind of pulled it all together.
That's right. Did you charge for the event?
No.
Free event. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so Eventbrite, you could do your invites all through Eventbrite, and Eventbrite will automate a lot of those for you, right? So you did emails, and then you actually physically emailed from your own account a large group of those people too. Yeah.
Right.
And then you also use SlideDial. Did you use Slide Broadcast or SlideDial?
I forget.
Did you leave a message for a bunch of people or just one person at a time?
Left a message for a bunch of people and just sent it out.
That's Slide Broadcast, right?
Slide
so
Broadcast.
You use Slide Broadcast, which that's another nugget, SlideDial and Slide Broadcast.
Yep.
So, basically the beauty of it is you're doing an invitation. So it's not like the politicians use Slide Broadcast to, please vote for me on the blah, blah, blah. And it's very annoying. But in this case, you already knew them and you're inviting them to an event. And it's just like, this is a really quick way to tell a lot of people about the event.
Yep. And they had already gotten communication from me, so it wasn't like a first communication. So.
You could even say in the Slide Broadcast, hey, I sent you an email, but I understand how email is these days. We don't always get it. I wanted to make sure you got the email because I really wanted to make sure you knew that you were invited, right?
That's what I did, and I got some calls back going, I didn't get that email. So I was able to get the correct email address or have them get it out of their junk box.
Are you telling me this stuff might work?
Oh, it works.
Crazy. So, all right. So how else did you invite? Did you do any power notes? I'm just going to ask, and you can say no to anything and say no.
Yes, I did do some power notes.
Okay. What do you think the percentage of people that you wrote notes to showed up at the event? So if you wrote 10 notes, how many out of the 10 showed up?
At least 50%.
Yeah.
And some of the people just weren't able to come but wanted to.
Yeah. So I think one of the big things is we talk about with events and this event-based business side of things that we're talking about is that we have an invitation sequence, a confirmation sequence, an event sequence, and then a follow-up sequence, you know. And so during the event invitation sequence, it sounds like you hit them several different ways.
I did.
Is there anything you do differently? Here's the thing, you did 2 events. So what did you do differently in the second event during the invitation sequence? Or did you?
Did the same thing.
Yeah, because it worked.
And we got more people.
Wow. Did you do more of it? Or was it, this is such a great line of conversation. I just want you to know, because here's the beauty of a series of events is that if you do one event, you do all this stuff and you learn from it and then you don't do anything with it, right? But in this case, you just learned, okay, I'm going to do an event. I'm going to do it this way. And you're like, I'm going to do the exact same system, but more people knew and missed out on the first event. So they're coming to the second event. Is that something you discovered?
Absolutely. In fact, people were like, I don't want to miss your next event. When is it? Like they wanted the next one lined up. When are you doing this again? Brilliant.
I love it. So how many people did you have at the first event? So let's talk about like the event sequence. What did they do during, how many did you have and what did they do during the event?
So we had about 38 people and they had all RSVP'd and they all showed up, which was awesome.
You had 38 RSVPs and 38 showed up?
Yeah.
So you got to say, what did you do for the confirmation sequence? How did you, Eventbrite certainly helps with that.
Yeah.
But how did you get 100% attendance? That's everybody on here is wondering how the heck that happened.
The day of, I sent out a text message to everyone who RSVP'd with I took a picture of the list of things that I wanted them to bring for our charity. Yes. And I said, what are you bringing? And a lot of people.
Everybody, before you even go on, sorry to interrupt, but this is so integral to the system that I've never reinforced this on any podcast before. What are we at? Like 90, 100, whatever. Here's the thing. Your confirmation sequence. The one thing you could do is do a copy of the list of attendees so they know there's other attendees. The other thing that she did so well, Melissa, you did this so well, is that you confirm the day of for the charity. So it's like, all right, make sure you bring a blanket. Make sure you bring a canned good. make sure you bring a toy. In this case, she had a list of things that you could bring and said, what are you bringing? Like, it's not, are you bringing something? It's, what are you bringing? Which is brilliant because it ties them to the charity, but it also ties them to coming to the event. So as part of your confirmation sequence, everybody, make sure that it's bring this for the charity. Make sure that is part of your confirmation sequence. I love it. The day of is brilliant. This is fun. 38 out of 38.
Yep.
Right? And so what did they do at the event?
So Tommy was actually at that event, and we told everyone that there in our invite that there was going to be a speaker for a short period of time, and then we would be doing giveaways. And
was this Tommy's first speaking event?
I don't know. He's done a lot, but he did. So he had he was just awesome. Everyone was so engaged. We gave them a little bit of a break, like he spoke, and then we were going to give a break so everyone could kind of get up and get another drink. And then he would finish up, a couple minutes, and then we were going to do the door prizes.
Love it.
During that break, no one stood up. Everyone did at the table kind of what he assigned them to do. It was amazing.
I love it.
Everyone loved it. And then we kind of followed up with, well, what'd you come up with? And
so did it turn into a mastermind a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did he ask them to do, if you don't mind me asking?
I can't remember exactly what the thing was.
Was it write a handwritten note, or was it?
No, it was coming up with 3 ideas of who you are, or something like that.
I love it. Okay.
I forget what he's gonna smack me now because I can't remember.
No, here's the thing. We're not stealing Tommy's thunder, right? The nice thing is he can present on this later, and it'll be new and fresh for people. So I like it just where it's at. So it was really good.
It was awesome. And then we gave away the door prizes, and that was it. It was a couple hours, and everyone had lots of time for networking. They got to learn something, and then a little bit of networking at the end with door prizes. How
did the charity go? A lot of times at the first event, the charity input or the charity give is not great. Was it great?
It was awesome. We had the director of, it was Adult and Teen Challenge of Western Wisconsin.
Love
they
it.
were, they just opened up. So they were still trying to, it's a women's drug rehab facility on site. So they were just building out, and they needed a bunch of supplies to get them open. So that's where the list came in. And we ended up with a huge table just overflowing of stuff, stuff on the sides, stuff underneath the table, stuff piled up. And then we had,
but it was all stuff they needed.
Yeah. All stuff they needed. We had cash donations. We actually, like, after Tommy spoke, I said, if anyone wants one of these generosity generation bracelets, it's $10 for a donation. And we ended up selling a bunch of those, and all that cash went to them. So
I love it.
Working by referral is not some fairy tale world. It's real. I've seen it. And you can too. Invest in yourself by learning how to run your business by referral at Michael's upcoming live event. It will be a day filled with hands-on, how-to, low to no-cost strategies that you can implement in your business right away. Learn how to run a business by referral that not only feeds your family, but feeds your soul. Go to www.gengenevents.com today. That's www.gengenevents.com.
It just went great. We raised probably, I think it was $115 in cash plus just tons of stuff. Filled up his entire SUV. He barely could fit it all in there.
I love it. I love it. So networking for charity turned out to really be nice for charity. Sometimes networking for charity can turn into just being nice networking. In this case, it was a win-win. It was a win for the networkers and a win. Yeah. And I just have to reinforce that, we're talking about these events, is the 3 aspects of the event that we have to include is the entertainment. Well, what was the entertainment? It was socialization, socializing. They were the entertainment. And you had food, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Right. So that's enough for entertainment. That's all you need with a bunch of networkers is give them time to talk to each other. And that's one of the mistakes a lot of people make with events is they think they have to orchestrate every single minute instead of giving time for people to mingle. But if people have time to mingle, then it kicks in that wonderful equation of like plus like equals two loves, which is two people who like you, talk about you, and they leave loving you and referring you even more and being more emboldened to speak on your behalf. So let them mingle. You had the educational element with Tommy, and you had the charity element with your charity. So you had all three aspects of it. But the thing is we can do that with events. And that's the problem with most people's events is at the end, they go, man, we all had a good time. And then I go, how many referrals did you get? And they're like, none, maybe one. I had a conversation and I was like, no, that doesn't count. Right.
Yeah.
That's how many written referrals did you get? So let's talk. Proof is in the pudding. Right. So share with us the results from your first event.
So the first event, several of the people in the room were already clients. So they were, but I believe I got 17 referrals out of that one.
So 38 people, 8 were already clients, 30, you had 17 referrals from 30 people, essentially, right?
Yep.
So
and
that's
my sponsors got referrals as well. In fact, one of my sponsors ended up selling some stuff at the event. She sells jewelry.
That's better than a referral. That's a purchase, right?
Right?
I will tell you, it won't happen to a realtor very often, right?
Yeah,
where they buy a house at your event.
At every single event.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So I love that. And so did you have anything part of your follow-up that, what'd you do as far as your follow-up sequence? And if the answer is nothing, it's nothing. If it's really involved, it's really involved. But what was kind of your follow-up sequence?
I called, I sent power notes to every single person who attended,
Nice.
And then called to follow up and book appointments.
What'd you discover in the follow-up sequence?
How do you mean? What did I discover?
Yeah, what did you discover? Like when you were talking to people, I mean, first of all, you wrote them all handwritten notes. Did you get responses from the notes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do they love you?
I
love you and I hardly know you. So, I mean, it's probably pretty easy for people to love you. So, but the thing is I think everybody wants to love everyone. I really do. It's like, I want to love you. And it's like, I want to love Tommy and I want to love, everybody that's in the generosity generation. But there's things that we do that make it easier for other people to love us. Right. Like writing them a handwritten note makes it easier for them to love us. Having events make it easier for people to love us. So you know what? Let's write handwritten notes. Let's do events. So anything, so in the follow-up sequence, did you get business from the handwritten notes? I know that's not the purpose, but did you get any conversations?
In my business, it's about developing relationships. You have to trust your financial advisor, right? So I don't expect anything to go really quick. Mm-hmm. I want to develop relationships with people so they can trust me in what I do and trust my team. So, I don't really measure that as, I got this appointment, I got this client, but I've definitely gotten business out of my events.
I was going to say, so from your first event, did you grow in revenue and income and clientele?
Yes.
Okay. Right. By what percentage would you say?
I don't know that I could measure, but I am, like, my last couple months have been my best months ever in my business. So
yeah. Okay.
It just keeps getting better.
So what are the top 3 reasons for that, would you say?
Referrals and I put an amazing team together to do some specific types of planning for small businesses and large businesses. And so that has led to more business referrals.
And okay, so the first one is referrals.
It's all
Number
referrals.
2 is you've leveraged and scaled through your team.
Yep.
And so what are the top 3 reasons you've seen such growth in the last few months, right? One is referrals. Well, referrals are a result, right? They're a product of an activity. So what's the activity that led to the referrals, in your opinion?
I think it's just people trusting me in this position because I had switched careers, and it took a while for them to go, oh yeah, she's really going to stick with this. And then people talking about, wanting to do business with me, or you need to go to Melissa, and, it's just building those relationships and the trust is all it is.
The trust, right? The credibility and competency within the financial world, right? You'd been in the retail world, you'd been in the MLM world. And I will tell you that in some cases, if people have been in the MLM world before, or even now, is the hardest part of their job is to build the trust in many cases, right? I'm just saying that in general. There are many people that are in multi-level marketing doing very well, helping people with personal growth and building these incredible businesses. So, but many other people got into MLM, didn't really know what they were doing, tried to sell all their friends, broke some relationships, and now those relationships need some repair before the full trust is there and they take you seriously in your new occupation. Mm-hmm. So that does happen sometimes, and not in this case, but I think we just have to put it out there. And there are many people that, what I love about your story, Melissa, is that one of the first things that I had to do, and one of the first things you had to do is show people we were serious about our occupation. You know, you had to show people you were serious about financial planning. I had to show people I was serious about real estate. I was a teacher. I was a coach. I was other things before. So people saw me as a softball player or a baseball player or a teacher or a coach, and I needed them to see me as a professional realtor. Yeah. And in your case, you need people to see you as a professional financial planner. And it's already started to happen. But one of the big things that helped that happen were events. You know, for me, a housewarming party for one of my softball buddies turned into a ton of business because they saw me not as a softball player only. They saw me as a realtor. Now, I think they saw me as a realtor who plays softball. No, they saw me as a softball player who does real estate. I eventually became a realtor who plays softball, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I love that. And so what did you do differently with your second event than your first event? What was the title of the second event?
Networking for charity.
Hey, listen, if it works, don't break it.
That's right.
Right?
I thought consistency is the key, right? Yeah, everyone knows. When's your next networking for charity event?
And you've nailed the niche, right? Yep. I mean, it's like it get rich in the niche. And so you are the networking for charity gal. And that's how it becomes. So you did the exact same invitation sequence. Did you do the exact same confirmation sequence?
Yep. We did everything basically the same. We switched the venue to a different location that was less expensive. The lacrosse country club said they weren't going to charge us if we were doing fundraising events. So the room was free.
Oh, wait a second. You mean if you partner with charity, good things might happen?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Oh my
gosh.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you, I hope the light bulbs are just popping for people because it's just like, I mean, and listen, don't do it for the money, do it for the charity. But I'm going to tell you, if you do it for the charity, the money will come. These great things will come. So, how many people do you have?
Yep. So we had 62 RSVPs.
52 or 62?
62. And there happened to be some really bad weather that night, like super icy roads. So we lost a couple people in that. But at the end, we ended up with 56 people coming. And that day, like after I sent out text messages, and I had actually a Facebook event out there as well, that day I had about 8 or 9 people, despite the weather, come who didn't RSVP. They were like on their way, and I had told everyone, you have to RSVP. They're on their way and hitting it, and my phone's going ding, 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 like while people are checking in, and my phone is dinging with people who are on their way to come to the event because they didn't want to miss it.
So you had 56 total people?
56 total, yeah.
So, and by the way, I just want to confirm that when she says we lost some people because of the weather, she doesn't mean they died. I want everybody to realize that she means that they did not attend the event. They're not dead to her or anyone else.
It's Wisconsin, you know?
Yeah, I get it. So, did you do the exact same format?
Very, very similar. So we had a speaker.
Who was the speaker?
Katie Fortune.
Okay.
She's a new up-and-coming speaker. She actually just started some video blogging, and she's going to hit the speaker circuit and starting to market herself. And I also, just prior to that, had met someone that also just changed their career to the speaking circuit. And I had known her for a long time, but just, hadn't seen her in a long time. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, speaking. Perfect. Come to my event, because the speaker that I have coming has a videographer that's going to be there. And so I was able to do a referral right at the event and get that videographer some business with another person who is an up and coming speaker.
Referrals happening at the event.
Yeah.
Always be connecting, right? ABC, the new ABC. Always be connecting. Forget about the ABC. Always be closing. It doesn't work. ABC. Always be connecting. And we're here to help instead of we're number one. Yep. So let's talk about numbers, right? How'd you do at the second event?
So the 62 RSVP, 56 people came. We raised well over probably $500 for the charity, and we had everyone bring something. And this time we had 3 times the stuff.
3 SUVs worth.
2 SUVs worth. And there were 3 people from the charity who came. One of the 3 people couldn't fit in the SUV and had to get a ride home with someone else because they filled the SUVs up so much.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And that was a women's shelter. So
yeah. I love it. And so how much did the first event cost you net?
Nothing.
So did you make some money?
No. Broke
Okay.
even.
So
On
even if you did, you'd probably donate
even.
it to the charity, right?
Yep.
So,
we broke even.
So are you telling me you got 17 referrals plus the event was zero based, didn't cost you a dime?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just throwing it out there as a business model that might work for people.
Work.
And then the second event, how much did it cost you?
Nothing.
You made money.
The sponsors, I brought it right down to the penny. In fact, I had a little bit extra, and so I bought each of the people who sponsored a drink.
Oh, wait a second. You mean you had extra?
Yeah.
You mean you lived in abundance for this event? You're like, what do I do with all this extra money? I'm buying drinks for everybody, which is really cool.
The sponsors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They deserved it. They put a lot of
Next
effort
event, you'll buy drinks for everybody. You'll have enough surplus. So how many referrals did you get? And what do we know about what the sponsors received? We know the videographer got a piece of business. So
the sponsor, I think every sponsor ended up getting business out of it. I definitely did. I had people from other charities that were there because they heard, oh, what's Melissa doing? And so some of those people wanted to come in for financial planning, and we do a lot with foundations and setting up foundations. So, they wanted to hear more about that. So I definitely got some referrals and some business and a very good client out of that event.
Okay. Do you happen to have a number? I know you said 17 at the first event. Did you get an exact?
There were at least 6 that became direct clients out of that one.
Okay. Was there, out of the 56, how many of the 38 from the first event were part of that 56?
Probably about 15. It wasn't a huge number. I thought it would be more.
It happened. I mean, people can't make certain events. It's all good.
Yeah.
Did anybody, what I'm seeing here as well too, is did you get a chance to build a relationship with somebody through the 2 events who became a client?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if somebody came to the first event, they're kind of checking things out. The second event, they're kind of sold on you. And then they're like, all right, I've seen enough. I'm in.
Yep.
See that? Yeah. That happens a lot. So when's your next event? When's your third? Do you have a third event coming up?
April 17th. And this one's going to be for the Gilbert Brown Foundation.
Okay.
He's a former Packer player.
Yeah.
And his foundation supports 150 other foundations.
Wow.
So that one's in the planning process, and Gilbert is flying in from Michigan to be our celebrity and be our speaker.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be fantastic. Gilbert Brown's a lineman for the Packers. Now, Gilbert, I got to be careful here. He wasn't the one that was hit in the eye with the flag, was he?
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, a referee, they throw their flags on the play, and sometimes somebody got hit in the eye. Actually, had to miss a game because of a flag. It's like, and I think the flag was actually on the person, so it was like literally adding injury to insult. So that's awesome. Yep. So hopefully you pack the house for the Packer.
My goal is 150 people at that one.
So pack the house for the former Packer. I love it. We're going to Packer the house at Networking for Charity. All right. So you're going to run the same invitation sequence, same confirmation sequence.
Yep.
And are you going to change anything about the follow-up sequence?
No.
How cool is this? How cool is it?
Keep it simple.
That you know what to do and you know what you're doing is going to work. How's that feel?
It makes it easy.
How much are you?
I need. I'm busy. I'm a busy person. I don't need,
more
things.
Yeah.
And now that I hired my husband, I have him to help me with everything as well.
Very good. So in 2 or 3 years, we'll talk about working with your spouse, right? Like how to work with your spouse, because it is a different dynamic.
We did in the family business. We worked together and we loved it. And so now's our chance to do it again.
I love it. Great. And so you're leading with generosity in a big way, yeah?
Yes.
And you're wearing shirts that say live generously at these events.
All the time.
The charities are a centerpiece. One of the three, you've got the entertainment aspect, the educational aspect, and the charitable aspect. And in many ways, do you feel like you are kind of getting to be known as like one of the most generous people in your community?
I hope so.
Yeah. And
Zig Ziglar, I have this on my desk. It says you can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. That has been my mantra since I started as an entrepreneur in 1999.
It's a great mantra. Zig Ziglar is one of my 3 mentors. And if you look at 7L and you just pare it down to a couple of sentences, like that sentence is the heart and soul of 7L. So,
and I get to help people in my career. I get to help people with the generosity, and it's win-win, like you said earlier. And
you're getting a ton of referrals. You've seen record growth in the last 3 months, and you're only going to see more of that as the Gilbert Brown. And what I wish for you is to not get so pulled into the charitable world that you lose sight of what you can do in the financial planning world. Is sometimes you can really get pulled into the charitable world and all you're doing is spending all your time attending charitable events and doing charitable work. And maybe that's what you want to do. But I believe you're bringing a ton of value to people where they need it most. And that's the management of money,
Every member that comes to work with me as a client is getting that charitable money to go in the community and do more. So for me, the more people I help, the more people they get to help, kind of like a spider web,
I love that. What a unique concept that Thrivent would give each and every member $250 each half of the year, $500 a year to pay it forward. That's the multi-level marketing that I can wrap my head around and support. So I love that. And so we talked earlier, is like, what's the secret to being the most referred professional in your community? You're the most referred financial professional in your community, and you've not just learned the secret, you've embodied the secret. The secret to becoming the most referred professional in your community is to be the most generous professional in your community. The most generous professional will be fed through reciprocity in the form of referrals. And that's how you become the most referred. And Melissa, you have a great download for people who are listening to this today. If you go to referralspodcast.com, Melissa has shared with us a wonderful list of ways to be generous in your community. In many cases, they don't even cost you a dime, that right. will lead to referrals. And I'll tell you, what's funny is sometimes I have these podcasts and it's like we're talking to really successful people, and I'm wondering, like, what's in store in the future? Is it going to be more of the same, or am I really excited about their future and what they're doing as if they're only at the beginning? And I feel like, and what I see with you is just, I can't wait to talk to you in 6 months. I can't wait to talk to you in a year, because it's just like this, the Good to Great. Jim Collins talks about the flywheel, and you turn the flywheel and it's really hard and it's really hard. And then it's not so hard. And then it becomes easier. And then it's kind of going, and then it's going on its own, and you can take out the handle and it's flying on its own. Mm-hmm. And I really feel like you are in that place where it's kind of, it's not super hard. It's starting to get easier, and the rewards a lot of times come when it's starting to get easier, and when you take the handle out, when you let go. That's a whole nother episode for another day.
And my husband and I have the goal of building a practice here and a practice in Florida, and putting a team together who all use the generosity events to help the community and promote themselves.
I love it. Melissa, thank you so much for being on today. This has been a phenomenal episode. I hope everybody listens to it and they implement what they've learned. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Listen, if you got something out of today's podcast, share it. Let somebody else know about Referrals Podcast. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. We'd love to have you as a subscriber. Share it. Invite other people to subscribe. I truly believe this is the best free referral resource on the planet. Every single week, we are launching an episode where we give free suggestions, strategies, and help, and a free download for you to get referrals faster, get referrals now. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Referrals Podcast. We will see you next time on Referrals Podcast.